Partners, this week we profile an amazing woman and a group of pioneers who did not survive. And it is also the story of a man and his family who were left behind and did survive. Most of us will already know something about this week's honoree. When I simply tell you or her last name, you will likely smile. Her last name was Donner, D-O-N-N-E-R. She had a most unusual first name. It was Tamsen. Tamsen. Let me say her name again. Tamsen Donner. Several years after getting married, her 2 children and her husband died of a fever of some kind. Then it was that Tamsen moved out to the prairie, to Illinois. She moved there to take care of the young children of her brother. Her brother's wife had died a year before. It was in Illinois that she met and married a very wealthy young man named George Donner. George Donner. And it was in Illinois that her adventure began. George Donner was a man who always had big ideas. One day when George was 62 years old and Tamsen was in her 40s, George made a sudden statement. "Tamsen," he said, "pack up the children." I said, "Pack up the children. We're moving to California." I don't need to tell you that the Donner Party got bad advice along the way and took a so-called shortcut that nearly ended up in all of them being frozen to death. Did you hear me? They almost froze to death during those long months living in a hut under yards of snow. Tamsen Donner prayed and prayed and prayed, and she kept a diary. When rescuers arrived, she decided to take care of her dying husband. But she sent the children to safety. When the second rescue party arrived, no one could find George or Tamsen. Their deaths remain a mystery. Jimmy, at the beginning you said there was also the story of a family that did not go with the Donners. Who were they? I'm going to tell you. I'm glad you asked. You see, one of the members of the George Donner's party happened to be a man named James Reed, R-E-E-D. It was his job to see if others in the area wanted to go west with the party. Reed had nearly talked one of his friends into going with the group on its ill-fated trip. The friend told him that he would love to move to California, but his wife would not let him go. That friend was a young lawyer named Abraham Lincoln. Golly. Think about that. Abraham Lincoln might have gone west with the Donner Party. If that had happened, the history of America would have been very, very different. Okay, partners, you know the drill. Find that big red X up there at the top and click it, and then you'll be whisked right back magically to the transport page. I love you guys. Golly. Go get 'em, Tigers!